I lost my husband to suicide nearly 7 years ago. Um, he was experiencing some mental health issues, would talk about it with me, was very open about it, especially over all the years of carrying childhood trauma with him. But it still certainly came out of the blue when we did lose him to suicide. So the alcohol industry, I feel, really played a big part in the loss of my husband. He was using alcohol to self-medicate, to push down that trauma and the experiences that he had as a child by using alcohol to dull the senses, take away the pain, and help him essentially to get through each day. The impact that the use of alcohol by my husband had on me was I found I was carrying a lot of the heavy load around the ferrying of our children to sporting activities, to trainings, to work prior to them having their own licenses. The mental impact of the alcohol use for me as well. I found that slowly I was starting to use more and more alcohol to be able to connect with him at times. Added to the impact of alcohol use and my husband for me stems right back from my own experiences in childhood around alcohol use within my own family, and I carried that certainly through to my marriage, and I would get quite frustrated when I would see Richard using alcohol to the extent that he did. He would often downplay his alcohol use and say that he wasn't hurting anybody by drinking alcohol, that he never abused me in any which way, and there certainly was no physical, verbal, emotional abuse at all within his alcohol usage. But it still impacted me and my own mental health because of the traumas that I experienced as a young child. The alcohol use within our family became quite normalised, and I have seen that carry through with my children and the amount that they drink and how they use alcohol as a social network within their community as they've grown up. And certainly I have grave concerns that alcohol usage and how it was normalised through how much Richard was drinking has definitely carried through into that next generation. I guess I've found this one really difficult to think about. I have been thinking along the lines of the gambling industry within suicidality, and certainly gambling was another thing that Richard was very honest with me about, that he had an addiction for gambling and he would stay away from that because he knew and did actually identify that as a gambling, as an addiction. I see gambling advertised all the time on television, at sporting events, and I really feel that there needs to be a pullback from the gambling advertising, similarly to what has been pulled back with the alcohol industry as well from advertising all those things. Especially about the gambling, and every time it comes on, it pops straight into my head, and I think, they need to really need to address that, and I know that they have that little snippet at the end of most of the advertisings that say how much are you losing? Yeah, I can't think to be able to paraphrase that, but it's said so fast, and often the writing, the disclosure for that in the writing aspect is very, very small and minute, that it's just going to go straight over anybody's head, that it could be impacting.